Yeah, one of my favorites.
And welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series final practice. A little overcast skies today as we're preparing for qualifying later on this afternoon and the race this evening. Temperature 74 degrees, so the temperature is coming up. In mostly cloudy skies, not a lot of sun beating down on the racetrack.
That wind has really picked up.
The wind has picked up 2 miles an hour. It's blowing like crazy now. Take a look at what's happening on speed today. Again, final practice for the Sprint Cup Series will be coming up next on speed. Then qualifying for the Camping World Truck Series. And then the qualifying for the Sprint Cup Series. Getting ready for the big race tomorrow. The setup presented by Polaris. Chris DeVoto will get us through that at 7:30. Getting ready for the green flag to fly on the NC Education Lottery 200 for the Camping World Truck Series. Again, welcome back. Joining us now, Travis Kvapil in the booth. Now, Travis, numerous wins in the Truck Series. You've got a championship in 2003. How about this racetrack? How do you feel about Charlotte Motor Speedway in a truck?
Well, it's definitely one of my favorites, you know, for a couple of reasons. It's a, high-banked, high-speed racetrack. It's close to home. The first couple of years I ran the Truck Series, we didn't actually run here. I think the first time we ran here was in 2003. So
2004.
2004. So I only got to run here a few times, but we were talking about how I ran. I don't remember, so it must not have been. It must not have been too good.
But you said it was one of your favorites, so it might be decent.
Yeah, I think when I drove Roush's truck, we had a good run, led some laps. I don't really remember the result, but it's always a cool place to come to.
One race I'll never forget, and I'm sure Travis won't either, that one down there.
You hit him so that he can't say anything, right?
Sorry about that. That one down in Miami, that had to be the coolest thing. I mean, what were you? You're the champion now. How did that feel?
Yeah, that was crazy. What a day that was, when
you had to wait 10 or 15 minutes to find out if you won the championship though after.
I remember him sitting in his truck going,
yeah.
I think we won.
Somebody tell me something, please.
The worst thing is you win races and you get to do your burnouts and all that. Man, I won a Truck Series championship. I wanted to melt that thing down, and they're like, no, just bring it around here, and we got to talk about this for a little bit. I was like, dang. So I didn't really get to celebrate how I wanted to, but what a fun time, and it all turned out in my favor, which was I was very fortunate. But what a cool day.
Oh, it was cool. It's fun to watch.
Will you stay with us for practice?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Excellent. Let's go trackside to Adam Alexander.
Kyle Busch got his first career win in the Camping World Truck Series right here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You were quick in that opening practice session, but as you and I just talked, you're not exactly where you want to be.
No, not yet. Our truck's pretty good, but we'd like to be a little bit better. The way the track heats up here, you can't ever tell about lap times and stuff because it slows down. So we'll see. I think the Z-Line Designs Tundra will be pretty good tonight, though. I'm real pumped about it. And, of course, thank Jim and Monica for coming on board this week and helping us out. And got the M&M's pretzel scheme on the back and also on the cup car, so they're in the stores now. Everybody can go pick up the M&M pretzels, and they're a little bit salty yet sweet.
It's going to continue to get warmer, so how do you manage this second practice session?
Well, we go to work on our fuel issue from last week and see if we can't figure out what happened. We're going to drain the fuel out of it, see if we can't pick up all the fuel and be done. Now, we got all the things we needed to get in the first one.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Ray?
Well, Adam, things didn't go very well for Kyle Busch at Dover, but they went great for Justin Lofton, a career best run. So how's that momentum feeling?
Oh, it was great. All the guys were kind of living on cloud nine all throughout the week. Just really happy for everyone on the number 7 visitpit.com Toyota Tundra. They work hard, and it was nice to kind of repay him with that. It would have been better if we would have been 2 positions up, but hey, we're going to take it first time at Dover.
Mark told me yesterday you guys put a good bit of downforce in the front of this truck. How's it feel?
It's all right. We're really working on a balance change. It's different than what our teammates running, so we're kind of building our own notes in this first practice. Second practice, we're going to go out here and definitely turn it up and see if we can get this thing at the top of the board.
All right, push it forward. That is Justin Lofton in the number 7 truck, guys.
That's the modern version of Bear Bryant's hat, I believe, there.
And I like that little gun point he gave us when he left. He had that hat on. Little gangster action going on down the garage.
Hey, Travis, when I told you that 2004 was the first year that the trucks ran here, you actually finished 4th here in 2003, which actually might have been the first year that they ran here.
I was thinking it was 2003 because I remember running that championship truck here and for the first time. So.
Well, thanks for not correcting me on the air.
You did it fine yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the other milestones that I think you've got to be proud of is you were the first ever to win in a Toyota in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Got that first truck win at Michigan.
Yeah, that was awful neat. we waited all the way to I think June or July to get it done, and I remember Skinner just about got one in Atlanta in 2 or 3 weeks in, and actually Daytona right off the bat I finished second, you know, right away in the season. So I remember all of us Toyota drivers, all the owners, they were really, you know, that was one achievement that we all were shooting for, one goal we all wanted. And it took us a while to get it, but we were fortunate enough to get it in all places of Michigan, you know, and what a cool day that was.
How about that championship season? The thing that boggles my mind is the entire season you failed to complete one lap.
Yeah.
The entire season.
And I think it was at Mason Marin, right? Which was
that
one
was
of the shortest tracks we go to.
Yeah, and there's a little my little beef with that. We would, if we had the lucky dog rule at that time.
That's right.
I would have completed every lap. That was before the lucky dog, and I got spun out, and I couldn't get my truck cranked, and ended up getting a lap down before the caution came out. So if we'd have had a lucky dog, I'd have got all the laps. But still, that just what a great job. It was the IWX team at the time. Dave Fuge, Chris Showalter, all those guys preparing race trucks. Mark Smith's motors to complete really every lap except for 1/2 mile was pretty amazing.
You know, I remember that year, was it Texas that you had a problem and lost your primary truck in practice, and then unloaded your backup truck, ended up finishing second. So it's just the preparation that you guys had for that kind of situation won that championship for you.
Yeah, Dave Fuge and those guys, they were fresh off a championship with 2002 with Mike Bliss. You know, he built very solid race trucks. Like I said, Mark Smith's motors were top notch, and everything we just kept rolling with it from 2002 to 2003, and what a great team it was. And Dave did a great job in managing, putting great personnel together, great pit crew, and it was some fun times.
We just saw some staggering numbers up there of the domination that Toyota has really had since they've come into this series, and you really started all of that with that win in Michigan.
Well, I was a part of it. You know, I was the fortunate one to drive it in victory lane that day, and to see how far they've come. I knew from, like I said, that first race in Daytona in 2004, I knew that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future. When I think we qualified second or third right off the bat, and we finished second in their first time out. So, and I knew that the trucks were just going to develop and get better, and the motors were just going to get better. So that was, you know, and look at them now. You know, all those wins, all those poles. You know, some of the guys that we're going to be looking at to win this race tonight are definitely going to be in some Toyotas for sure.
Travis Boffel joining us for the final practice as we're just getting started with this final practice session. We saw Kyle Busch out on the racetrack. Timothy Peters quickest thus far in our final practice. We'll be back with more here on Speed. Speed's coverage of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series practice from Charlotte is brought to you by Herculiner Truck Bed Liners. With Herculiner, the tough comes easy. And again, welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Travis Boffel joining us for practice. Michael Walter, Phil Parsons, Rick Allen up here in the booth. Adam Alexander, Ray Dunlap down on pit road.
Ron Hornaday on the racetrack.
And Ron Hornaday in that Longhorn Chevrolet on the racetrack. But Donnie Leah is the fastest. That's what everybody's going to be chasing in this practice session. 30.209 is the quickest lap run since they've been on the track.
I wonder if he was on a qualifying pass, Phil. That's compared to everybody else that had run.
That's a half a second faster than any other truck on the racetrack, so I'd say there's a good chance that was a heater.
He was on a heater.
Ray, what's happening with our former winner at this racetrack?
Well, Rick, you guys were talking up there with Travis about Dave Fuge and back when he was with IWX, excuse me. Well, guess what? This is the very last truck that you're looking at right here that ever came out of the IWX. I'm going to try to say that right. IWX shop. It's a brand new truck that Dennis Setzer is driving today, but believe it or not, it was manufactured back in the middle of 2008 and has been sitting in the side of the garage at Dave Fuge's for quite a while. Dennis Setzer and his new owner here bought this truck and put this deal together, and Setzer said his truck is really good, just a little bit tight through the center. He said, don't worry about us in qualifying, but when it comes race time, this 92 truck's going to be good.
Ron Hornaday was quickest in that opening practice session, Ray, and he just hit the track for final practice. He is second on the board. We talked so much about that left rear fender at Kansas. The problem crept up again in the opening practice session here today. They welded it in between the two practice sessions. They feel like they got it where it needs to be, and we'll just continue to watch the wear and tear as the day continues. The one common thread with Hornaday, though, he is quick.
You know, Adam, he is quick. He is 3/4 of a second about off of what he ran in that practice session when he unloaded this morning. We talked about the sun getting on this racetrack and how much it affects the way these trucks slide around and handle in the corners. So take Donnie Leah out of the equation, who ran a qualifying run, we think, there, and got a really fast speed. Everybody else is 3/4 of a second or more off the time they were able to achieve this morning.
And we know that Ron Hornaday only ran a total of 5 laps in that first practice session, so it's not like he had 20-25 laps on his tires.
But those are still the same tires that he ran in that first practice.
Absolutely.
He has not put another set of tires on yet.
But we've heard of these guys scuffing tires, and like Phil said, he only ran 4 or 5 laps, so those tires were still good enough to go out there and run that really fast lap. But the track isn't up to it anymore. The sun has got on it, heated it up. We heard some of the guys talking about I'm starting to slip around in the turns, and that's the delicate balance. That's what these crew chiefs and these drivers are dealing with right now. They know that the conditions will be quite different tonight when they throw the green flag.
And this racetrack, and I think, Travis, you will attest to this, is one of the most heat-sensitive racetracks on the entire circuit.
It really is. You know, you get out here today in the heat of the day, and like you said, just in an hour, how much it slowed down. Nobody's probably going to be very happy with their truck here towards the end of practice. They're going to strap in tonight and take off and not believe the amount of grip the track has back in it. So it's going to be some great racing tonight.
And we've seen the different lines that drivers have been taking. Elliott Sadler was hugging the white line earlier. We saw Kyle Busch running the middle and the higher portions of this racetrack. The different lines, I guess, trying to get more air on the nose or finding out what your truck can do in different places on this track.
Yeah, this is every place we go with these trucks, you know, they punch such a big hole in the air. It's very critical to try and get all the front downforce you can and get all the air on the nose you can. So you'll see guys, especially in the race, moving up that second lane, that third lane, and just hunting for fresh air, you know, for the front of their truck. So you can be faster than that guy, but if you follow in his tire tracks, your truck's going to not handle as good. It's going to get too tight. So you got to move around a little bit and look for other ways around them.
Michael, I remember when you ran the truck race, you were running up near the wall. I mean, you seemed to have the momentum to stay up by the wall and keep that momentum down the straights.
Yeah, the track has changed quite a lot since then to now, so there is grip up top, but it seemed like the older the surface got, the more grip there was right around the wall. Now there's equal amount of grip from bottom to top. From my experience here, there isn't really a preferred line. It's just whatever your truck will work best, that's where you're going to go.
That's exactly right.
We see Timothy Peters up on top of one of the haulers, I'm sure his, and watching practice now. He only put in about 5 laps in this practice session. Could he potentially be done?
Well, I think so, and we'll maybe get a report down there from Adam or Ray. But, you know, again, this is a byproduct of the fact that they have a limited number of tires. And Adam, I'm sure that he would love to be back on the racetrack, but he knows he only has that one set of tires to practice on.
Phil, I was just talking to his crew chief, Jeff Hensley, and what Jeff said to me was more so than the tires, although the tires play a big role in their decision to not be on the racetrack right now. It's also the weather. It's heated up, there's a little bit of sunshine sneaking through the clouds, and they just feel like they can't learn a lot more about the truck. He said, we'd like to be out there. We're just the least bit tight, but we feel like at this stage we're not going to learn much. We didn't do a qualifying run. We're just going to roll the dice and see what we've got a little bit later on this afternoon.
See the 60 of Narain Karthikeyan out on the racetrack from Chennai, India. His best career finish came in his first start at Martinsville, winding up in the 13th spot. Now, I tell you what, he had an interesting christening to stock car racing at Martinsville. I know there was a lot of beating and banging that went on, but a 13th place finish on the lead lap for your first truck race was very impressive.
Yeah, he got beat around every which.
It may just be a plug wire.
Every which way you could at Martinsville and finished 13th. I bet he thought this stuff's pretty easy. Then he goes to the next race at Kansas on the second or third lap. A guy came from out of right field and clobbered him, and his race was over. He's like, well, how could that be?
Yeah, it looks like his practice might be over here too. It looks like some smoke out of the pipes, blue smoke. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So
I heard the truck when it came by here, and it was definitely off the pace flat. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But you're right, man. What a different world he has joined in the last couple months. You know, from Formula One cars to NASCAR and to the Truck Series at Martinsville. So he did a great job for sure.
He was just outside the podium in the U.S. Grand Prix at Indianapolis back in 2005, finished 4th. So he's in the same country, but that's about as close as you can get to the only similarity.
May need to push down here.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of smoke when he fired it back up. So Narena will take his truck back into the garage. They'll check it out. Here are the speeds, our top 10 from the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 final practice. Tonight on Speed, it's a special all-star edition of NASCAR Trackside. Tune in as Joey Logano, Mark Martin, crew chief Alan Gustafson, and NASCAR Hall of Famer Junior Johnson stop by the Ultimate Friday Night House Party. NASCAR Trackside tonight, that's 10:30 Eastern, right here on Speed. Actually got one of my first autographs ever in NASCAR last night.
Oh, yeah?
At the dinner, I got Junior Johnson. Because I thought, you know what? If I get Junior Johnson and Richard Petty to sign the program from the inaugural induction ceremony that's taking place,
you could probably sell it. Is that what you were thinking?
There's going to be very few of those. I was not thinking that. There'll be very few of those on this planet.
What about this guy here? We talk about his progression, the job he's done week in and week out, up to second fastest. Every week we see just so much improvement in his performance. I mean, it was good to start with, but it's just gotten better. And I talked to his dad, Mike, at the pit crew competition the other night. He said that this kid has very little, people don't understand, he's got very little experience, and he's out there mixing it up with the big boys. It's been fun to watch.
Hardly any experience on this type of racetrack and this type of vehicle. And they're doing a great thing. You know, they have a tractor trailer that they've got at their shop now, and all the people in Welcome and all the employees of RCR are donating cleaning supplies, and they're going to bring that tractor trailer over to the Bass Pro shops right here by the Speedway at Concord Mills, and let fans bring some stuff by. Austin and his grandfather Richard are going to do an appearance tomorrow, and then they're going to send that stuff all to Nashville for the flood victims over there with all the cleaning supplies. And then I think Austin is actually, after that appearance, going to fly to Iowa, where his younger brother Ty is going to run the K&N Pro Series East-West combination race. So a big weekend for RCR and Austin Dillon.
Let's go back to the garage in AA.
Doug George is the crew chief for Ron Hornaday. You told me a moment ago it's a little loose. You continue to work on the chassis, but I've also seen a lot of focus on this left rear fender. What can you tell us about what's happened today and where you are with that situation, Doug?
Well, we are finding a little loose condition right now, but we're working on some aero stuff trying to fix that. Longhorn Chevrolet is still pretty good, but we're just trying to find that little bit for him for tonight. But yeah, we got a little problem with the left rear rubbing a little bit again, and trying to work on it, and it's kind of causing us a little bit of grief here in practice, so we're losing a little bit of time trying to fix this. But we'll get it fixed, we'll get it taken care of, and we'll be good tonight.
What have you related that problem to, Doug? Because it's obvious something that you've dealt with for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, well, we build our stuff pretty tight and try to get all that we can out of our stuff, and we're on the edge. So anytime you put yourself on the edge, you put yourself in a little bit of a box, and unfortunately, right now it's kind of been biting us a little bit, but. We'll get it addressed, we'll get it fixed, and we'll still make them as good as they are, and we'll move on. Right now, we're just trying to make Ron happy. If we can do that, we'll have a good night.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Travis, you know how important it is to Ron Hornaday and those guys. You heard Doug's dejection about that fender rub, but you also want your fabricators to build them that close and that tight, so sort of a catch-22.
Yeah, they give you, I mean, NASCAR gives you tolerances, and you want to maximize that, and that's what they're doing right there. And when the truck gets out on the track, the G forces and centrifugal forces, the tire wants to go to the left, and the body wants to go to the right. So they're fighting that a little bit right there.
In your race shops, you have a pull-down rig, which tries to simulate when these trucks get down with the speeds and the pressures going into the turns. Does that pull-down rig also give you the simulation of the body movement when they go into corners, or is it just straight down?
No, that's the piece of the puzzle that's missing right there. You don't get the tire squirm, we call it, or tire squish. So you pull the suspension down, the shocks, the springs, the sway bars, but you don't really get to see that tire moving around from the wheel.
And also the lateral load isn't as great. And then again, Rick, think about blowing air over to 180 miles an hour.
Right.
That's another piece of the puzzle that you don't have. So there's, these teams can simulate all these things, and they know within pretty close exactly what will happen. But again, they're just on the edge. Like Doug said, we want to make them as good as we can, and they can't have that to continue to happen. They'll have to make an adjustment back at the shop and say, okay, I get it. I understand this is better, but we got to figure out drag without having this fender so close to the tire.
Ray Dunlap.
Watching Mike Skinner here, guys, and he just rolled out of his garage, headed back to the racetrack. They've actually made a trailing arm adjustment on the back to try to realign the rear end. Skinner says when he comes off the corner, it is really snappy loose. He says it feels good rolling in, feels good through the center, and then when he gets to the exit, it is really snappy loose. So trying to make adjustments here. Of course, Mike Skinner, one of the guys that you always figure is going to run up front when we come to Charlotte.
Yeah, as you can see, 5 wins in his career on the mile-and-a-half racetracks. And Travis, we talk about the basically the COT, the new Cup car, and maybe some of the similarities between that and the trucks. And you've done both now. And you're gonna run your Long John Silver's Ford tonight. Are there any similarities, and how do they drive compared to each other?
Well, I mean, the similarities are, you know, the trucks and the Cup cars both run the splitter, and they're just a bigger, bulkier race car. And that's probably about it. You know, these guys are running on the trucks conventional springs and coil binding, where all the Cup guys are running bump stops and pretty soft springs. So it's a little bit different. You know, you can't really translate from setup information, shock springs, sway bars, anything like that. But you know how these trucks, you see them in practice, the splitters right down on the racetrack. We do the same thing with the Cup car, and now that we put the spoiler on the Cup car, we feel like there's a little bit of that thinking that went into the Truck Series, how the air kind of comes around the side, how it hits the spoiler more than over the top of the car. You know, that's some similarities as well.
Isn't it interesting we put that spoiler on that Cup car and everybody thought we had matched it aerodynamically to the splitter, and there's really no wind tunnel evidence that it should be much different, but they race a lot different on the track.
Yeah, they sure do, and I don't know if we really all quite understand that, you know, especially our little front row motorsports team. We haven't been to the wind tunnel but once with it to really get an understanding, but it is a different feel, and obviously that wing versus the spoiler, it reacts different to the air. I think everybody in the garage is kind of, you know, thinking, do we need to rethink these setups a little bit, you know, versus the wing. So we're all kind of in that a couple of weeks here where we're all trying to figure out which direction to go with our setups.
33 trucks have been on the racetrack in this final practice for the Camping World Truck Series. The fastest, the 07 of Donnie Leah at 30.209 seconds. Austin Dillon, another young driver, up there in the top 5. We'll be back with more practice here on Speed. Welcome back. Sunday live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Don't miss an epic television event for the ages when Bill France Sr., Bill France Jr., Richard Petty, Junior Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt rightfully take their place as the first inductees of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Live coverage begins Sunday at noon Eastern, exclusively on Speed.
What a great event that's going to be. Last night was so fun, and just to see the actual inauguration of those guys, I can't wait.
Very emotional last night. We heard storytelling by a lot of the people that have been in this sport for so long and been involved with it, and talking about each individual inductee. Very reminiscent. I got to sit right, my table was right behind the Earnhardt family table, and talked to Mrs. Earnhardt and Dale's sisters, and it was so fun to hear their appreciation and excitement for the fact that Dale was going to be in the Hall of Fame. In the NASCAR community and beyond, this is a big deal. I mean, this Hall of Fame is certainly well received by everybody that has anything to do with NASCAR and beyond that as well. Krista made a mention last night. Over 10,000 people have already been through the Hall of Fame, and it just opened on Tuesday.
Wow, yeah, I know. So, Travis was there as one of our former champions in NASCAR last Tuesday for the grand opening, and that was Michael was there as well as I have, and or as well as I was, and that was really neat, wasn't it, Travis?
Yeah, what a privilege, you know, to be able to be included in something so special and so historical. It was what a fun day, and just to be able to be a part of that was pretty special.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, for the last couple of seasons, Danny Stockman was truck chief for Ron Hornaday. This year you move up to crew chief, and you got a fast truck today. What are you guys working on, Danny?
Just trying to get the front end a little bit more positive on this Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet here. It's pretty good. Started out the first practice a little tight, but made some changes in that little brake there. She's pretty good now.
Tell me about the learning experience of moving up to be the top dog of the team. How have you taken to it?
I'm telling you, I'm having the time of my life right now, and just learning how to work with all the people and stuff. There's so many people in this organization, and just really trying to utilize all the resources.
Well, have a good day. We're going to check in with Adam. And Adam, what a fun thing it is to watch some of these guys get their opportunity, and a lot of that's what this truck series is all about.
No doubt about it, Ray. The truck series is a great place for growth. And now we have issues on the track. We will follow up on that in a moment.
Yeah, it's the 0-1 of Michael Garrity that was sliding through. Michael actually has never started a truck race, so this will be his first start if he's able to make it into the field this afternoon in qualifying.
A lot of wheel in it, trying to get to the throttle.
Look right of your screen here. Just got a little bit loose. You heard him say he was trying to get to the throttle, trying to get all to the throttle. He did a nice job of saving that truck, and then when the truck's finally caught, he didn't have it turned so far to the right that the thing shot to the right.
Well, you know, we've seen guys get sideways and mat the gas, Travis, and they were able to save their truck. Notably, the two guys in Kansas that,
that was cool.
that bowled their tires off, saving their trucks. But this was a case where Michael got on the brakes, and that helped him get his truck straight. So you have to use all your options. Sometimes you got to put the gas down to save it, and that time he needed to lock up his brakes to save it.
And take a look at how he missed all the logos on the grass. I think everybody here is going to be appreciative of that.
Did a nice job missing the NASCAR Foundation, NASCAR Day logo there, right there bottom of your screen.
And that 0-1 is going to make his way onto pit road and back into the garage. Travis, I know that you're getting ready for practice for the Sprint Cup Series. That's coming up here in a very short amount of time. Thank you for coming up here and joining us for this practice for the Camping World Truck Series.
My pleasure, guys. Anytime. It's a truck series is a special place, you know, for me, and it's a privilege to come back up here and talk to you guys about it.
We think of it that way as well. It's a privilege for us to be able to talk about this series that we love so much. So again, coming off of the racetrack, Michael Garrity makes his way through the infield grass, misses the logos, and now goes into the garage to clean off that splitter on the front of the truck. We're under caution in our final practice. And again, the induction ceremony for the NASCAR Hall of Fame coming up on Sunday. Now it's the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 final practice as the trucks are rolling back out on the racetrack. Michael Garrity brought out a caution in this practice session when he got a little loose coming out of turn number 4. Corrected it, but went through the infield grass. They've cleaned the racetrack off, and we're getting back up to speed.
Eric Almirola, the 51 AK Awareness most recent winner on the racetrack, with Jason White and the gunbroker.com Dodge right behind him.
Now Jason knows that that's a good truck he's ahead of, Phil, so there's a couple of things he's going to try to do here. He's going to see if he can keep up with the 51 first of all, but then secondarily find out what his truck does in that dirtier air, in the air that's flowing off the 51. What does that make his truck do in the corners? So,
and another thing they have to work on is how much tape they can put on the grill of these trucks in order not to overheat tonight. Because when you get behind trucks like that, you don't get obviously as much air through the grill. So that's something that these guys are working on. They have a basic setup as far as how much tape they need, but then they still have to fine tune that, because every piece of tape, every square inch of tape you can put on that front grill means less drag and more front downforce.
And more, yeah, and that means speed. If you can get those two things and not heat up your motor, you're going to go faster.
Brad Sweet, he's actually doing double duty this weekend, but it's not in the Sprint Cup Series here tomorrow. He's actually going to Iowa and driving the USAC Silver Crown and Midget car at Iowa, so he'll be doing double duty. He drives for Casey Kane.
Would you say maybe triple duty? Because he's
that
running
good through there, bud.
That's two different divisions in Iowa. But Casey Kane is always very much involved when Brad's driving this truck. Yeah. He's very helpful to Brad. He wants to see him do well, and you know right now that Casey's either in the pits working with Brad right now or up on top of a truck watching.
Way better, way better.
That's a good word when you can hear somebody say way better. Ray Dunlap.
Guys, such a busy day today with a couple of practices in the morning, all a one-day show with qualifying this afternoon at 3:30 on speed, and then we go racing tonight. But the one thing you definitely don't want to see is an engine change, and that's what's going on down here for Narain Karthikeyan And I just talked with his crew chief, Chad, who told me it's really disappointing because Narain needs all the track time we can give him. They've got a blown motor down here. Going to have to pull the engine out and make a change. So practice is over today for Narain. Adam?
And practice is over as well for Timothy Peters, but for a whole different reason. I guess you guys got it where you need to be, huh?
Yeah, we're really happy with our StrutMasters.com Toyota Tundra. Jeff said when we fired off the beginning of the run, let's get it ready for qualifying. That's all we were doing, wearing it out. So I like days like today. It feels good to know that we came right off the trailer and had us a good truck. But thank Tom DeLoach for awesome opportunity, and hopefully we can turn tonight around.
You and I talked about the issues over the course of the last couple of races at Kansas and Dover. What is the mindset of this team right now after battling through those 2 tough weeks?
Well, right now it's try not to make something happen, because usually we get in trouble. You know, last week I got a little impatient, but you know, I beat myself up enough, and I'm ready to go down the new path that's out for us today. So if we got a 5th place truck, we'll finish 5th. If we can win, that'll be awesome. But if we got a 15th place truck, we'll just take what it'll give us.
We'll see you for qualifying.
Thank you, buddy.
See Jeff Hensley in the background. We did working on that truck. A lot of experience with Jeff Hensley coming over to that team. They were able to get the win at Martinsville last year, then the big win at Daytona to kick off this season. We see Jennifer Jo Cobb out there in the number 10 Ford F-150.
Remember, Jeff Hensley won last year at Dover with Brian Scott for his first career Camping World Truck Series win.
Another driver saying better.
You know, she said better, 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 and that was before she ever got to the start-finish line, so she's got a good feel for a truck because she picked up about a half a second over her lap that she didn't like before. So she's understanding what that truck needs, and when they give it to her, she likes it. So see, now that she knows what she's got, if she can pick up the speed even more. Looks like it's wandering up the hill. You hear her out of the gas. It didn't look good down in the center there.
Coming in this time.
Up front, as far as times, Donnie Leah, Elliott Sadler, Austin Dillon are on Hornaday. Timothy Peters, they're your top 5 in this final practice session. Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine, David Starr, Matt Crafton, and Johnny Sauter making up our top 10 in this final practice as the minutes are winding down of track time for the Camping World Truck Series. Welcome back. Final practice continues for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200, which will be run this evening. Qualifying is at 3:30 this afternoon. Then Chris DeVota gets us set up at 7:30 for the race at 8 o'clock. The morning has been, this track has been dedicated to the Truck Series. Next will be the Cup Series making their way out onto the racetrack. We see Jason White going to make the move around that 6 of J.C. Stout.
Jason's 14th right now, but working on his race setup. That's what most of these drivers. We saw Donnie Leah go out there and blister a lap there. We knew that was a qualifying setup. I think Elliott Sadler as well. His first lap on the racetrack this session was about a 0.13 of a second slower than Donnie Leah, so I believe that was a qualifying setup.
Yeah, and if you want to know the difference, Donnie Leah ran a 30.20 when he was making that little qualifying blast that put him on top of the sheet. Over a second, almost a second and a tenth slower when he pulled the tape off and let his air pressures down to where he wants to race and went out and started making race runs. So these guys, we talk about impound, you know, you qualify and then you race your setup, but they know how to make some adjustments that'll make these things really go fast for a lap or two.
Terry Jones coming off the racetrack. Terry out of Canada, driving that number 46. We've seen him quite a bit in the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, that was close. Just about turned into the 51 of Eric Almirola. See, the spotter's work is not done when the truck comes off the racetrack.
Yeah, we've seen, Phil, drivers can wreck anywhere. Don't ever take for granted that it looks like you ought to just be able to get on pit road and get there and get your tires checked.
I remember a day back at Talladega when they rained out qualifying, and the actual driver, I won't say who it was driving his car, going to drive his car back to the garage area after they called off qualifying and crashed into the edge of pit wall and just about wiped that car out.
We're watching Nelson Piquet Jr. on the racetrack now, and I'll ask both of you, you've come from a similar situation where you've had extremely successful people in your family that you have followed somewhat in their footsteps. How much pressure is it on Nelson Piquet to follow in his father's footsteps?
Well, I think it's really smart what he did. He just left the country.
Left that part of the world.
Yeah, he came over here to give it a whirl. He's not under any pressure at all. You know, Phil and I both raced in the shadows of our brothers for a long time, and that is difficult, but certainly the advantages and the opportunities that it presented us far outweighed any negatives.
Yeah, totally. And you know, people always say, you know, does it bother you that you're known as Benny's younger brother? And as Michael said, maybe growing up in the shadows? Absolutely not. I mean, I couldn't think of, in my case, I couldn't think of a better role model or somebody that trying to emulate than Benny, and the same thing for Michael and Darrell.
Expectations are always high when you follow someone who has had amazing success, as Nelson Piquet had in F1, 3 championships. Adam Alexander.
Rick, if you remember in the opening practice session a couple of hours ago, we talked to Todd Bodine about his race truck, and he said we're really close. We're not great, but we're really close. Well, they've never exactly gotten it dialed in. They continue to fight getting the truck to handle in the center of the corner. They go to one extreme or the other, but they can't get it balanced in the center of the corner. So they continue to work on the front end of this race truck. And many would probably say, if you're close, can't you just work on it during the race? But I think Todd knows, as good as the competition is and is going to be in this field tonight, you better make sure you're dialed in, because there is simply no margin for error.
Hey, check this out. Kyle Busch signing autographs for a fan. That's cool. Look where he's at. He's over at Kevin Harvick's hauler.
Just look to the right of Kyle Busch.
Just to the right of Kyle. Right there. You see, that's Kevin's hauler. So what's Kyle doing over at Kevin's? Signing autographs.
Yeah, well, maybe he's going to ask for some advice.
Talking to the fans. Really cool, Kyle.
You're going to go, oh. Maybe not.
I'm at the wrong hauler.
Well, there was this one time I was at the wrong track.
and Kyle Busch,
he was only one hauler off. You were at the wrong racetrack.
I was at the wrong track.
Yeah. And the way these trucks are parked is based on points now, and the champion always gets the #1 stall, and then the #2 stall goes to the person who's highest in owner points.
And that actually is the #2 hauler that's parked in that #1 spot, because remember, they did the switcheroo point-wise because the 2 truck was not locked in for the first few races of the season, so they did a point switch. They're actually using the points from the 33 from last year, so they will always be in that #1 parking spot the entire season.
So, but what was cool, you saw Kyle down there, and this is what so many people love about the access that they get when they come to the NASCAR races. You know, there they were in the garage area. Kyle just got out of his truck. He's going to download with his team, signing autographs, high-fiving people. That's what you get when you get in the pits of a NASCAR event, and that's fun to see.
And that was one of the biggest stories that was told last night about Richard Petty, who would spend hours after a race was over signing every autograph of fans that were interested in getting his autograph. And well, Kyle's trying to follow in those footsteps, and whoops, he went to the wrong hauler. That's okay.
He was just going to go visit his competition.
We'll let him off on that one. Practice continues here on Speed. Monday night, get your NASCAR fix with NASCAR Race Hub. Get the latest NASCAR news and information in here straight from the drivers and crew chiefs when they stop by the garage to hang out and talk racing. NASCAR Race Hub presented by Hooters Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. More than a mouthful Mondays on the Race Hub.
You do a fine job on that show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Elliott Sadler doing a fine job on the racetrack right now, back on the track after running 4 laps earlier in a qualifying setup. We'll see how he does now in his race setup. He was second quick in that qualifying setup.
See that splitter sealed to the racetrack. Nice attitude for that truck, Mikey.
He was second fast, like you said. We watched Donnie Leah lose over a second when he went from qualifying to race. Let's see what happens here to the 2.
I think he might still be in qualifying trim right here. just about a quarter of a second slower than his fastest lap.
Making another qualifying run, you think?
Maybe, or maybe on those same scuffed tires to see if he wants scuffs or stickers for qualifying.
Yeah, you know what these teams do at times is they'll make a qualifying run and then they'll come in and make the adjustments that they will after qualifying prior to starting the race and make sure they like the way their truck still feels. You know, that's the only time they're going to have to simulate exactly what's going to happen after qualifying. So that might be the case here.
Qualifying, we know at certain tracks, very important. In the 7 races that have been run at this racetrack, no one has ever won from the pole. The farthest forward that anyone has started and gone on to win was 3rd. That's happened twice. And the furthest back is 20th. So a wide array of areas to start from to get to victory lane. Double A.
Just listening to Elliott Sadler talk on the radio about the qualifying run. It was another Q run for this team. It was scuffed tires. He said it didn't calm down the back end as he would have liked, but I think they feel like at this stage they've got something to work with.
Well, good. It'll be fun to watch. It was fun to see Elliott up there contending last week at Dover, wasn't it?
It sure was. And you know, obviously we know how difficult the Sprint Cup Series is, and you know, with all the competition over there. And then I think this is a situation where Elliott just comes over here to have some fun. And we know he qualified in the front row both at Daytona and at Daytona and at Dover. So he qualified on the outside of the front row. So we know he can get it done. And he certainly had a great opportunity possibly to win that race last week, if not a good strong top 5 finish, and unfortunately had problems and didn't get around to finishing the race.
Here's another truck that has really had an impressive run this year. Johnny Sauter got his 2nd career Truck Series win earlier this year. That was at Kansas at the 1.5 miles, so our most recent winner on a 1.5 mile racetrack.
Really finished the season last year so strong, had that big win at Las Vegas. Really, you know, came into the season, we felt like he was certainly one of the championship contenders, and he's not out of the battle at this point, but did not start out as fast as he would have liked. Got involved in an accident at Daytona, finished 35th, and he's had only really 2 top 10 finishes, one of those being that big win at Kansas. So not the type of start to the season that Johnny would like, but he's been running extremely well. So look for him to continue to be running up front each and every week.
Adam Alexander, what do you got from the garage?
Rick, it didn't take long to wipe the smile off of Eric Almirola's face after getting that first career Truck Series win last week at Dover. They have fought this truck today, the same vehicle that has had all that success over the years with Kyle Busch at Billy Blue Motorsports, and also went to victory lane last week at the Monster Mile. Tight in the center of the corner. They have made a number of adjustments in this 2nd practice session. They are gaining ground, but unfortunately it is not where they want it to be.
You saw all the wins and the different names on there. The one consistent that has been with this chassis has really been Richie Waters. I mean, he has been the guy who has called the shots and got so many of those wins for Billy Blue Motorsports, and now he's turning the wrenches for Eric Almirola.
He's done it a bunch of different ways too, hasn't he?
And we've doubted him along the way at times.
His strategy has always been unique, out of the box thinking. At times they're real quick to pit on lap 5 and raise their truck up. They don't
get the splitter off the ground.
They don't like the way it's hitting the ground, or maybe they don't like the way the thing looks on the track. They'll come in and work on it for the first half of the race, and then they'll say, okay, it's halfway to go now, you're going to have to live with that. But they certainly, he uses his whole toolbox of adjustments and thinking when the race starts, and I love that about Richie.
You see the front of this truck of TJ Bell. The red of the splitter actually makes it almost look like it's pink on the front. When I think about that, I think of the commercials that we've seen for Toyota, the Sponsifier, where you can go in and design a race truck and have a pink truck or a pink car, and I'm wondering if TJ Bell might be going down that road, having someone else design his paint schemes.
I like the Sponsifier.
I love that commercial when Ruben walks by.
Yeah.
I like love.
I love love.
I love it.
I love love.
I like when the girl says, I love you, and he goes, oh, thanks, honey. She said, no.
On the spoiler.
Right there on the spoiler. So at Martinsville, I wrote I love you on Martin's Truex spoiler.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
He didn't think so.
TJ Bell pulling his truck off of the racetrack. Now, I mentioned the paint scheme, a very white race truck there. Sponsors always the key to
survival.
Getting these trucks or cars onto the racetrack, and and different drivers always looking. TJ Bell, last year we talked so highly of the successes that he was having on the racetrack, and he's a great race car driver.
Just needs that opportunity, and this is the first time I think we will have seen TJ this season in the Camping World Truck season. Ray, what's going on in the garage area?
Well, Phil, real quickly, just to add to that 50 truck, to let you know, they are honoring the guys that are part of EMS. That's what they've got the stickers on, that number 50. But I want to talk to the driver of the 3, because you got a fast race truck. How's it feel?
You know, Stockman's done a great job with the Bass Pro Shop Chevy today, and really excited about tonight. Been looking forward to this place. We've been really good at the faster tracks this year, so I think we'll have something for them. We're going to put a little qualifying run on here in a little bit. Hopefully we can get to the top of the board. We're close right there, but see how we do in our qualifying run.
Now, you were wanting to razz Danny a little bit when I was interviewing him. How much fun are you guys having together?
Our team's done a great job this year, and they work really hard at the shop to have good trucks when we unload, and we're all good buddies, so hopefully we'll have a good race tonight. Just continue our friendship.
Are you done with school for the summer?
Yeah, school's out, so get to focus on racing and really go have some fun this summer with the Bass Pro Shops car.
All right, we wish you good luck, and they've got a fast truck, and they're doing just a little bit of final prep here, guys, as they get ready to do a Q run.
You have to remember, Austin Dillon is just 20 years old. I mean, he's still attending college right now while running the full schedule.
Yeah,
and doing very well with this schedule.
He has just finished his first year at High Point University. You can see what a great point battle we had here for the rookies. Justin Laughlin with his career best finish last week at Dover. Austin Dillon been extremely impressive, and we'll be back with more practice from the Charlotte Motor Speedway right after this.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. There you see Richard Childress talking with his grandson, Austin Dillon.
You know, if I'm Richard here, Phil, I might be telling Austin he's obviously got a really fast truck. And we heard in Austin's interview, he said, we'll see if we can get this thing to the top of the board. I might tell Austin, calm down now, son. It's the middle of the day here. Things are going to be a little bit slippery. Don't go out there and try to run the fastest lap of the, I mean, run as hard as you can, but be sensitive and careful to the fact that the conditions are deteriorating minute by minute. So might be time to calm him. He was a little bit anxious about getting out there and making that qualifying run. I might try to slow him down a little bit.
And remember, he's never been here before too, so he doesn't know the vast change in this racetrack from daytime till night.
Ricky Carmichael on the racetrack now. Earlier this week, Austin actually taught Ricky Carmichael how to run his dirt late model. They're getting ready for the Prelude to the Dream.
Oh, that'll be cool. That's always a fun event.
I mean,
coming up in just a couple of weeks, right?
It's hard to believe that you'd have to teach Ricky Carmichael anything about being on dirt, but obviously when he's driving with 4 wheels beneath him, it's a little bit different.
I'm assuming that going from 2 to 4 years is two to 4 wheels is a big change.
Wouldn't you say it'd be easier though?
Yeah, you won't worry about falling over. Yeah, I would think.
Adam Alexander.
I guess this week it's been like back to school for Ricky Carmichael, learning on the dirt, as you guys talked about, and now trying to figure out the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the first time in his career. Now, he had some confidence coming off that career best finish a week ago at Dover, and he's in a truck that he was very good in practice a month or so ago over at Nashville. But this is a very difficult place to get around, so they made the truck very tight to start the day and loosening it up as the day goes on, just allowing Ricky to kind of baby step through this thing and learn the racetrack. And the other advantage he has, David Green, who works with his teammate James Busher as a spotter and driver coach, is also getting on the radio and talking Ricky through different scenarios. It's always nice to have a little veteran leadership for a couple of young drivers. Ray?
And Adam, of course, track time so very, very important, and Noreen Karthikeyan has so little track time. But what did you learn today in your limited amount of time, Noreen?
Not very much. I did like 20 odd laps, and then we did 4 laps in the second practice, and the engine motor blew up. So just really in the back foot again, and we will see. I mean, I have to take everything in a positive way and try and hang on to the race and get the car home to the finish. That has to be the goal now. It's a new track to me as well, so it's going to be difficult.
All right, so they continue to work on that number 60 truck, a new power plant going in, and Noreen Karthikeyan just standing around watching.
We talked about it. Noreen Karthikeyan won the Padma Shri Award, which is the highest honor you can give to a citizen of India. And what a amazing honor, and he continues to now try to learn this sport in this country.
And received it from the president.
The president of the country. So very, very impressive.
And I love his freshness, you know, and how refreshing everything is, and how he's taking everything in and learning. It's so fun to see. You know, a lot of times, Phil, you and I have been around this sport for our whole lives, 25 or 30 years competing in it, and you lose a little bit of the wonder of this whole spectacle that NASCAR racing is. And when you look into Narain's eyes and see exactly what all of it means to him, it makes it even that much more important to me.
Yeah, and this is from a driver that has witnessed and been a part of the F1 scene. And for those of us who watch F1 on speed, like we had the race from Monaco last week, you know what a spectacle that is. But this is something that's totally new for them, and I love seeing the wonder in their eyes. And I talked to Nelson Piquet Jr. because he's run the ARCA series some, and as well as the truck series, and it's the same situation for him. They're like sponges. They just want to learn. They want to be a part of it. This is not a novelty for them. This is something they really, really want to do.
Todd Bodine takes his truck into the garage area. Here's the 88 of Matt Crafton. Adam.
Now, you mentioned Todd Bodine. He has struggled in this practice session. Matt Crafton, a little bit on the other end of the spectrum. He feels pleased with what he has. He said the track has gotten very slick as it has warmed up this afternoon. And as we close on the end of this practice session he is in now, you can see the hood is up. That's because they're going to cool down this engine. Expect the 88 to climb the speed charts momentarily, because they are going to do a qualifying run, as many of these teams will do in the final minutes of this practice session. Ray?
Adam, on my end of the garage, they are cooling down the engine on the number 5 truck. Mike Skinner has Exide back on the side. And while you've seen Elliott Sadler only run 6 laps in this practice, and also seen Timothy Peters with only 4 or 5 laps on the track, Mike Skinner has been out there fine-tuning this machine. 30 laps so far just in this session here. They're getting ready to do a qualifying run. Mike Skinner, a guy who is always a threat for the pole when we come to Charlotte.
Or any racetrack we go to. He has 51 poles in the Camping World Truck Series.
That is amazing.
So he has started up front more than anyone else. I think Jack Sprague is closing in on second now, or is in the second position. Ron Hornaday in the 3rd spot.
Things are going to get fun now, guys. They're going to cool these motors down, put some tape on them. This whole leaderboard is subject to a lot of change in the last few minutes of this practice. So we'll come back from break and see these guys turn it up.
Looking for the latest stats and results from the track? Stay informed and make your best fantasy picks using Speed's comprehensive NASCAR stats for the latest practice and qualifying reports, race results, and driver standings. Get more at the NASCAR section of Speed.com. Final practice continues for the Camping World Truck Series. Brad Keselowski in the number 29. That's his own truck. Currently 17th quick in this final practice.
Brad's going to make his 2nd start of the season. Ran the race at Nashville early on, was running very close to the top 10, had some problems really late, relegated him to a finish. I mean, just inside the top 20.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, you have to look pretty hard to see the Miller Lite sticker on the side of that number 29. It's actually way in the back down. We'll see it coming up here in just a second. Right there's a little Miller Lite sticker. But guess what? This truck will have a very different look in upcoming races. Expect for it to go to the Miller Lite blue and have stickers all over it. Brad Keselowski and his team just signing a sponsorship package, and that's always good news. A new look for the next time they come to the racetrack.
And he will be driving the Blue Deuce next year for Penske. That change has already been announced. The Pennzoil sponsorship going over there, where Kurt Busch will drive the 22 with the Pennzoil colors on it, and that moves Brad Keselowski into a very famous race car, the number 2 Blue Deuce for Penske.
Yeah, and I think they're going to get that relationship. Obviously started it a little bit early with some sponsorship on that truck for Brad.
Bring it on in here. Bring it on in here.
Wes Burton in the 16. We see a little smoke coming out of the back of that truck now.
Wes ran some pretty good times early in this practice. He's 12th overall so far, so great run for Wes, but it looks like maybe something went wrong with the motor.
Yeah, that smoke is a bad thing right there. He's one of the trucks that has to make his way in on time, so if they have a motor situation, they're going to have to hustle up and get that thing changed. Qualifying's at 3:30 this afternoon.
And that looked like a situation where he was coming off of the apron, maybe coming onto the track to get up to speed. Could they have left maybe an oil line loose or something on that, and maybe not an engine issue?
Yeah, certainly that's possible, but have to get in there and dig around and see what exactly went wrong. Wes is a young man trying to get his legs up under him in this sport. I wanted to say congratulations to our speed colleague, Larry McReynolds. His son, Brandon, got him a big win last week down at Rockingham.
At the Rock.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Real happy for Larry. He just walked in the booth. Of course,
and
Larry
dominated that race, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was it led most of the laps and all but 13 laps.
75 lap race.
Very impressive. Mike Skinner on the racetrack.
Now look,
number 5.
What I think Mike might be doing is running off high. He might be trying to get that thing wound up, Phil, to come take the green here and make a qualifying run.
Why did your voice get higher? Because he was higher on the track?
It still makes me nervous every time somebody goes up there, because, you know, when you're the first guy to go up there, there's always a chance that there's a little dirt or debris and thing will get away from you. But you can see that's exactly like what Mike did. Got to run high through 3 and 4 to get momentum to the green, and then tucked it right down to the bottom in 1 and 2.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack again, as you mentioned.
He's on a heater.
Like a Q run. He's on a. You never leave when you're on a heater.
Wow.
Little loose, and he crosses the start-finish line 30.816 seconds. 11th quick of the 36 that have been on the racetrack. There are 39 trucks in the garage area that will be battling for the 36 spots.
There's another guy making a qualifying run. We heard those guys talk about it. Looks pretty sanitary. I was all over Mike Skinner. I agreed. It scared me watching him run. And when he made it across the start finish, I was like, woo. And then all of a sudden he said, woo. So
his voice got high too, did it?
Austin didn't like something about that run.
Sun peeking through the clouds now, so we'll heat up the racing surface once again.
About 15 minutes left to go in this practice session.
Austin Dillon bringing his truck back off of the racetrack. Donnie Lee is still the fastest in this final practice, 30.209. We'll be back for more here on Speed. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series practice from Charlotte is brought to you by Camping World. The Camping World Destination Recreation Sweepstakes is back and better than ever. Camping World is offering more prizes and more chances to win this year. Log on to campingworld.com and enter today. And by Toyota. Matt Crafton on the racetrack. Phil, is he on a heater?
I think he was, but I'm telling you, the track is really, really slow right now. Matt Crafton ran about a 30.92. That's about a 1/10 and a half off his fastest lap. And I really don't think the track will lend any speed right now, Michael.
Not at all. It just continues to deteriorate. That's why I thought that at 9 o'clock, you know, you wanted to be on the track as soon as you could. And if you liked your truck then, pretty good chance you're going to like it tonight. But the bad part about it is, if you didn't like it then, what do you do to it? How do you work on it with the track going away and the conditions getting so much different than they're actually going to be when they wave the green tonight?
You said at 9 o'clock if you didn't like your truck. Are you talking specifically race runs there? Because qualifying is going to be at 3:30, which is going to be the hottest part of the day.
Yeah, but these guys will want that set up for the race. That's what they're all after. And then they just compromise whatever they have for qualifying to survive that lap. Hopefully get it tightened up and tuned up enough to go make a good qualifying run. But their setup that they end practice with and they're happy with will have everything to do with the race. And then after that, they'll take the adjustments that NASCAR allow them to make, and they'll put them all in that truck as hard and as heavy as they can and hope it'll stick for qualifying.
Donnie Lee the fastest in the 07 in this final practice session. Let's go back to the garage and Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, Michael was asking what the deal was with the 3. They were scuffing tires, Michael, on that last time out. So what Austin does is he goes real hard into 1 and 2 and gets the truck through the center and then backs off. You only have to run about a half a lap to get your scuffs in. They have not done a qualifying run yet, but they are making preparations for that right now. They have done the cool down. It's on the engine, and I expect the next time the 3 goes to the racetrack, they'll be attempting a qualifying run.
Even though without a qualifying run, they're 4th quickest in this final session. 30.669 is the mark that they've set.
Yeah, and that was race runs. He did that early in the practice in race conditions. So that's why Phil said, you know, we watched Crafton make what we think was a qualifying run, and he couldn't jump up toward the top of the chart. We know that Skinner did. He ran only 30.80, so we'll see what Hornaday does. This truck's usually pretty good, right?
Yeah, he was about 3/10 off on lap number 1 from his best lap. See what he does on lap 2. That's another 1/10 of a second off. So that's a full 3 to 4/10 of a second off his fastest lap in this session.
You know, we need to get with Mr. Otten and the NASCAR folks and tell them that when they're on qualifying runs, they got to tape up their grills with orange tape.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know.
So then we'll know for sure who's doing what, because this is a race run, I think.
It is, because he's up to 3 laps now, and you definitely would not do a qualifying run, a simulated qualifying run, more than 2 laps for sure.
We had a great shot of the front of that truck, and you notice there's an opening on the top of what would be the bumper, and then also underneath it, in that splitter area, where a lot of air can get pushed right up into the radiator and keep these trucks cool.
It's amazing the cooling systems that they have nowadays. Heard Ricky Carmichael say he was way too free. Ricky's down in the 17th spot. That was his fastest lap of the session at a 31.066. But it amazes me, Michael, is how little air these cars and trucks have to take in to cool these things nowadays.
That's because we're old, and we used to know how much you had to take in to cool them back in the day. I mean, you used to have a bunch of square inches open in the front so that your motor wouldn't overheat, and they just continue to keep squeezing that tape down and squeezing it down.
He didn't have to say that. We were, I mean, that was. I
wasn't going to say it. Remember Wes Burton? Oh, he's got a problem with his splitter.
He has more. Almost had problems with more than that.
Yeah, but remember, we saw him try to come onto the racetrack and saw a little bit of blue smoke out of that truck. They went back into the garage. Now, I'm not sure. They probably don't realize he's got some issues here.
Needs to abort that run right there.
Hopefully the team's watching on TV and says, "Come in, man. We got a splitter issue." That just. And you see, that truck will change quite a lot, Bill, after they fix that splitter. I think it'll give him more front down force. So if he's loose right now, they better adjust for that.
He's going to stay with it.
He did run a decent time his last trip by.
This was the catch your breath moment for the 16. We'll come into your screen off the right.
There he is right there.
Starts wandering up.
Got a little bit high.
Then when he gets down to turn 3, it gets worse. Watch this back end try to wiggle out from him. Right there, it's sideways.
You see this, and the splitter's already been damaged.
Yeah.
He may have done that splitter leaving pit road going up on the racetrack.
You see the braces on the front that hold the splitter in position, but they're actually screwed from underneath, up underneath that, in that bumper area. And that's what looks like is the problem with this splitter, is that either those screws have come loose or he's worn them off. Adam Alexander.
And we continue to see Donnie Leah at the top of the board. That is because they came out of the gates in this final practice session with a qualifying run. Since that time, they have worked exclusively on race trim. They have made a few changes, and now as this session comes to a close, Jason Miller, the crew chief, instructed Donnie to come to the garage. He told the crew to work very quickly, put on 4-sticker tires, cool down the engine. They will top off the fuel tank and once again go out and see where they are in qualifying trim. But they feel very good about this race truck on both sides of the ledger, and we'll see if they can gain any ground on the qualifying side momentarily.
Winding down the final minutes of practice. This one goes till about 10 minutes to the hour. Todd Bodine on the racetrack. I know Mikey is going to be heading off to Sprint Cup practice here momentarily.
I'm going to drive the number 55 Toyota Tech South and Red Rocks Cafe.
Now, what is Tech South famous for, Michael?
Well, if you have any needs, your complete source for all your needs for orbital welding.
Orbital welding.
And I don't know how many times you've needed an orbital welder, Rick, but
people do.
They do, and Tech South will take care of you. That was a little bit crazy for Todd, too. These things are hard to drive when you tape them up and go to qualify. even a perfect lap will get your attention, won't it, Phil?
And remember, these guys are trying to get these trucks where they're not going to be too tight tonight.
Right.
So they're a little bit on the free side probably in this type of conditions, and then you put the tape on the front end and do the air pressure adjustments for qualifying, and they just get looser yet.
Mike, thanks for joining us.
Oh, yeah.
And have a good time in practice in your Cup car. We've still got a few minutes of final practice, so stay with us here on Speed. The NC Education Lottery 200 final practice continues. Welcome back to the final 5 minutes of final practice for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 for the Camping World Truck Series. Here in Charlotte Motor Speedway, home to so many of the teams, drivers, crew members, all looking forward to an evening with their families and friends, able to come out and watch what they do on a weekly basis.
Yeah, this is so much fun to be here, and it always has been from when we first start racing. And you look forward to racing at home here, and this has been my home for over 30 years now, as well as most of the drivers and the teams in the sport. So it's so much fun, and this is, you know, for the truck guys, this is one of the 25 big races, obviously paying points. For the Cup guys, All-Star Weekend is about having some fun. You know, now there's $1 million on the line,
bragging rights,
and so there's a lot of stuff going on. But it is great to be able to be here at home and sleep in your own bed.
Right. Adam Alexander.
And there's a much shorter drive after the victory, or for the victory celebration as well. If you're able to win, Ron Hornaday knows that. They continue to try and get his truck dialed in. They just topped off the fuel tank, cooled it down. He will be making a qualifying run. Todd Bodine, another one of the drivers who's going out to do the same. So continue to keep your eye on the speed charts as we wrap up final practice.
You know, I've been watching a lot of these guys, and there's times, and they haven't really been going any faster, been going slower. You can see the temperature is not a whole lot different than it was. We're a couple degrees warmer than when we started this practice session. Wind has doubled. It's now up to 6 miles per hour. But Austin Dillon, we have a caution.
Yeah, we got 12
truck.
Mario
Goslin spinning through the grass here, lands on pit road, keeps it out of the wall. So great news for him. We caught a glimpse of Austin Dillon.
I think he may have caught one of the logos. I think he got NASCAR Day on that one.
Oh, boy.
Just slightly.
Just slightly. Mike Joy said he just barely nicked it, if anything. So
he just slipped through, and he's going to do cookies now.
Yeah, they're actually donuts. Maybe in Nebraska they're cookies, but they're actually here.
Get your. Yeah. Oh, he got a little. He got
the Fox logo.
He got some of the Sprint Cup Series logo.
We'll have that repainted by tonight.
Yep, that'll be repainted.
Take another. You look at the right side of your screen. Mario's just going to get a little bit loose. Does a nice job. You see the tires smoking. That means he's get back in the throttle to keep that truck from backing up into the outside wall. And plus gets rid of some mosquitoes.
He does that. Gold wall, the 24-karat gold wall that you saw.
We were talking about Austin Dillon on the racetrack when Mario spun. He actually had just run the second quickest time in his mock qualifying run at a 30.228. So that's one of the only trucks that we've seen here recently put a good time up on the board, Adam.
Phil, it was amazing how all the shoulders slumped in the garage area when you guys called caution on the racetrack, and the reason was a number of drivers were right in the middle of their qualifying run. And you know it's so difficult during a practice session with a full racetrack to get a real gauge on where you are for qualifying anyway, but when the caution comes out right in the middle, it throws off all your plans.
Yeah, and AA, these guys look at it, you know, that's about an $1,850 caution flag. Because if you have new tires out there and you're making a mock qualifying run, you just wasted $1,850. Now they'll use those tires in the race, but nonetheless, they're not going to learn anything as far as their qualifying run goes.
You won't get the information that you were looking for out of that set of tires because you had to abort your qualifying run. We see Ricky Carmichael getting back up to speed now as the green flag has come back out for this final practice session as we're winding down to the last few minutes. We'll see how many actually are allowed to go onto the track.
You know, we've had some 2.5 hours of practice, and all these guys, you know, there's a red and black flag right there. They let the guys out and not even going to let them run a complete lap, which I don't really understand that. They really should have let these, if they're going to let them back on the racetrack, at least let them run one complete lap.
Right. We see Ron Hornaday He was waiting to go out onto the racetrack, but now that the red and black flags have been shown, that means practice is over, so he'll head back into the garage. Mario Gosselin taking a wild ride through the grass on his final run in final practice. The fastest guy in final practice, Donnie Leah. Austin Dillon, Elliott Sadler, David Starr, and Ron Hornaday rounding out our top 5. We're here all day on Speed, so make sure to stay tuned. Coming up next, it will be Steve Burns, Randy Pemberton, last NASCAR Live, so stay with us.